It was a strong day for the offense on Sunday in move the ball drills. We'll break down how Joe Burrow and his offense won the practice.
You are Locked On Bengals, your daily Cincinnati Bengals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Bengals fans, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jake Liscow. He's James Rapien, and we've been covering the Cincinnati Bengals here on Locked On Bengals since 2016. My last practice in person here in Cincinnati, and finally got extended move the ball periods where they actually, as it sounds, move the ball down the field. Got to see how the first and second teams fared against each other in competition, as it was the closest thing to a simulation of a real football drive that you'll see in these practices. For everybody who's not already an everyday listener to the Locked On Bengals podcast, you can remedy that issue. And yes, it is an issue, by just hitting that subscribe button. Makes it really easy not to miss an episode of the podcast, as we'll keep you up to date on everything going on with your favorite team. And shout out to all of you out there who make Locked On Bengals your first listen. And before we dive in, just one programming note, unless there's major breaking news on Tuesday, as I'm flying back on Monday, as I'm flying back home, we'll be back with you after Tuesday's practice to get you ready for the first preseason game a little bit later this week.
Yeah, the Bengals don't practice on Monday, so it fit well. Jake is traveling on a day that they're only having a walk through. So guess what? We'll be back on Tuesday, barring we'll get the Trey news. We'll get the Trey news when Jake is traveling. If so, we're gonna have you covered regardless. And we have you covered, and you have us covered. Shout out to everyone that came to the Holy Grail on Saturday night. It was awesome. I mean, we're talking a bunch of everydayers, a bunch of people that either watch or listen and have supported us for a really, really long time. And so shout out to you if you're able to make it. If not, that's okay. We appreciate you as well. But it's really fun to get to meet some of you because, well, we talk to you all the time. And so to get to talk to you in person was really awesome.
Yeah, you don't talk to us. That's the thing. So we got to know you a little bit on Saturday night.
You got the day right.
Yeah, it's tough. It's taxing. If our voices sound a little bit different than normal, it was really loud in there. I think both of us strained the vocal cords a little bit, but we're here. We're doing our thing. We're pushing through. And the offense largely pushed through the defense on Sunday days. They, like I said, move the ball drill. So they're actually simulating drives of offense starting down around the 25 or 30-yard line and marching their way down the field. And largely a really, really good day for the first team offense. We saw the return of Amarius Mims at right tackle. We saw Lucas Patrick out there with the ones again at right guard to keep you updated on what's going on with that right guard battle. And Amarius Mims returning to practice well ahead of that preseason game. He had some sort of brace on his right hand. It covered up his thumb a little bit as well. So not sure exactly what the injury is, but you can see the protection he was wearing on his wrist and hand. Dan Hort, I think, had a good video of Amarius at the beginning of practice where you can really get a good look at what's going on with Amarius's hand if you're interested in that sort of thing. On the other hand, Mike Gesicki not out there with the ones. Wasn't out there at all, actually, on Sunday. But that aside, really strong performance from the offense in team drills. From my perspective, I don't think they got stopped, period. I think we had a controversial ruling that ended the only drive that the offense didn't score a touchdown on.
We did, and it was T. Higgins extending the drive with a great hands catch. His hands away from his frame, snagging a ball, plucking a ball out of the air as he's going out of bounds. Jordan Battle gets close. Then Jordan Battle knocks it away. As T. Higgins is like 2 steps out of bounds, I think it's a catch. He thought it was a catch. They clearly didn't. Joe Burrow certainly thought it was a catch. I tweeted it out. Be the judge for yourself, but I think it was a catch as well. And so that's why you said it. They didn't get stopped. This first team offense was moving the ball up and down the field, and they were only going one way. So I guess down the field. But they played really, really well, and you'd expect that. And I really like what I've seen. It's the 87 effect. Tanner Hudson saw Noah Fant come to town. Noah Fant has to wear 86 for now. He might have even said for now, right? I'm just kidding. But Tanner Hudson wants to keep that 87. He had a really nice touchdown catch on the second drive of 11 on 11 where Joe Burrow was able to find him. And Burrow was really, really excited for Tanner. It was a really nice catch, nice play. And that kind of set the tone for this offense and what they were able to do, scoring multiple touchdowns and responding the right way, even when the defense was able to make a play or two.
And that was not Tanner Hudson's only contribution in these move the ball drills either. He had another catch. It was a first down, I believe. So he had 2 catches with Joe Burrow at least. The touchdown working against Jordan Battle, and it was a very clean, not contested. He got open. The offensive line held up in protection. No real questions about it. But in addition to Tanner Hudson, who has had a couple nice practices here 2 days in a row off the signing of Noah Fant, and with Gesicki dealing with that injury. Noah Fant not yet doing teamwork, in case you were wondering why it is Tanner Hudson. It was Hudson with the ones. We saw a little bit of Cam Grandy with the ones. We saw a little bit of Drew Sample with the ones, of course. Those guys playing a bit of a different position than Tanner Hudson, Mike Gesicki, and Noah Fant, what he will be expected to do in this offense as well. So different roles there. Those are the guys working with the ones at tight end, but wasn't just 87. I mean, spread the ball around very effectively did Joe Burrow, finding T. Higgins, finding Andre Yosevach for first downs, finding T and Jamar for touchdowns, although apparently they told us the T touchdown didn't count because of a procedural issue. The procedural issue didn't affect the play at all. It was a mossing type catch. It was maybe a ball that was like a little bit underthrown, and T just was it Ivy in coverage?
DJ Ivy was in coverage. Yep.
And T has great position. Like he beats DJ to the spot, but then he jumps over him and takes the ball off his head. Not quite that emphatic. I'm embellishing just a little bit. Like it was a really impressive catch for T. Higgins.
It was. And Ivy was in on it, trying to scrape it away, trying to knock it away as they were going to the ground. Didn't happen. T held on. And that shows how strong and how far T's come. It's a reminder, man. I mean, how strong he plays at the point of attack, at the catch point. And it was a catch on the sideline, by the way, too. So what we basically just said, T. Higgins got robbed twice because they didn't count the touchdown, and then they don't count the first down catch. It's one of those, and those, if you're listening or you're not on Twitter or whatever, the T non-catch was one where he caught it, got feet down, and then got feet down out of bounds, and then Battle knocked it away. Like, there's really no scenario, I think, where that's ruled incomplete in a real game. Maybe if it's just really bad officials, but I would have been surprised.
It's one of those things where if it's in the middle of the field, it's probably a fumble. If that's how it plays out in the middle of the field.
Yes.
Like he takes 4 steps, at least 2 feet down in bounds, maybe 3. And then you're saying you got 2 steps out of bounds before. Yeah. So to me, that's a catch.
It would have been a fumble. Yeah, it would have been a fumble.
If it was in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Because he's holding the ball. If you're not looking on YouTube, I'm extending my arms like way away from his body. He's fully extended where he catches that ball. He did also have another clean catch in the middle of the field. DJ Turner lost him. There's a lot of traffic in the middle of the field on a crosser. Got caught up in the traffic. T comes wide open on the other side of the formation, catches it in space, takes it upfield for a big play. So he did also have a clean big play. Jamar had the touchdown. Chase Brown had a touchdown. And Samaje Perine had touchdowns with the ones. So, name your guy. Pretty much everybody scored. Andre didn't score, but had other catches to get the Bengals into scoring position.
And the play to T was a little under center play action.
Yeah.
Jake Liscow was smiling. Ooh, he was smiling. Plenty of other things to dive into from Sunday's practice. We will do that coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. And look, Yahoo Fantasy is a game changer. I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years and years and years. Couldn't be more excited about them being a sponsor here on Locked On Bengals. And, of course, Locked On Bengals is playing Yahoo Fantasy. You should, too, whether you're a first-timer and you're looking to get into a fantasy league, or maybe you're a veteran playing in your millionth league and you want to add another one. Well, you should and you can right now by going to yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, They just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's just one team left. That's the beauty of Yahoo Fantasy. You can do all these different leagues, all these different ways to play. If you're more into the classics, you can still play head-to-head in private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. All right, Jake, let's dive into some more practice takeaways. And we mentioned the offense and touchdowns. There were a couple nice plays by the defense. And one was DJ Ivey. He was involved in that touchdown to T. Higgins. Jamar Chase should have had a second touchdown.
Yeah, that to me was a drop. It was tight coverage. It was like not a totally unforced drop, but that's a ball that if it happens in a game in the season, from where I was looking at it, you expect Jamar to catch that. But it was really great coverage.
It's a deep ball,
hip pocket coverage,
bread basket, and DJ got his hand in there and was able to knock it away. And he did.
I need to see a replay.
Yeah, he did. But Jamar should catch it anyway, just because there was a hand in there. He had two hands in there. DJ had one hand. Jamar had two hands, and so that's a heck of a play. But that's an example of the offense is getting the better of the defense, and in DJ making a play now. The other one against T, he tried, and T said, no, that is not going to happen. And that happened like 2 plays later, I think it was.
That is a good segue to note that, DJ Ivey was out there with the ones. They were down a couple of corners. Cam Taylor-Britt still not practicing. Dax Hill was on the rehab field on Sunday as well. Not sure what the issue was for Dax. Could be routine, coming back off an ACL, trying to stay up to date on whatever his rehab is at this point in time. We'll see what's going on Tuesday. We'll see. Do we get injury reports for the preseason? We do not.
Nah.
We will not see on the injury report. We'll see if Dax is out there suited up
Silly Jake.
For the
injury
preseason
reports
game.
Are for regular season.
They sure are. We also saw, and this is something that's been a bit of a trend, but really stood out to me today when you listen to Al Golden after practice, just shifting to talk about the defense here a little bit before we get to what went on with the twos and some of the plays that the defense made. From a schematic perspective, we're seeing a lot of 3 defensive line, 3 linebacker packages. And you might think that's like a 3-3-5 kind of look. And it's more of a 5-man surface where the only off-ball linebacker in those looks is Logan Wilson in the middle. And then they're putting the other 2 linebackers up on the edge. So they're essentially playing on the edge where your traditional edge guys, be it Shamar Stewart, Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, whoever, are kicked inside a little bit. Maybe they're at 5, maybe they're at 3 tech, depending on which side of the formation they're on, depending on whether they're, strong side, weak side, that sort of thing, what kind of look they're getting from the offense. But Al Golden talking about having multiple linebackers that can play the edge and talking about position versatility, especially as it pertains to Shamar Stewart. And a lot of praise for Shamar. He said he does need to continue to work on his conditioning, I think, a little bit. That was a takeaway from Al Golden discussing Shamar Stewart. But that 280 pounds where you can put him on the edge and he can run around your tackles. We've seen him run around the arc against Orlando Brown. We've seen him go through guards. We've seen him easily shed guards in the running game and pile up tackles for a loss, and a lot of flashes from Shamar Stewart. But the reason I bring that up is because it goes into this idea of positional versatility. You're seeing it with the corners. We've talked about the corners lining up all over the place. We've seen it with a number of players on the defensive front lining up in multiple techniques from inside to outside the defensive ends, kicking inside, and you're seeing linebackers now playing edge, and you're seeing, I think I counted at least 2 times, if not 3, on Sunday where Shamar Stewart or maybe another edge player, but I was specifically watching Shamar drop into coverage on plays as Al Golden is trying to disguise where the pass rush is coming from. It's interesting, intriguing, whatever you want to say, that Al is like, that's why I think a big reason why they were in on Demetrius Knight, 49th overall, why they wanted to get guys that were versatile, that they believe could do a bunch of different things. And they've put Demetrius Knight in those positions. He had a really nice tackle, by the way. I'm just thinking of it. Run game probably would have been a tackle for loss. I was like, oh, well, there's 44, and just smacked. It had to be Chase Brown. Maybe it wasn't, but I think it was Chase Brown in the hole. But we'll see how it pans out in from a success standpoint. But I think it's clear how important he wants. He's looking at the versatility aspect. And he mentioned the Shamar thing. He's like, you can't find that in the draft. A guy that can do this, and this.
and playing all these different spots. And we've seen that with Shamar. And I do think he's really flashed. I mean, so you came for Shamar's first practice.
Yep.
So basically Shamar and Liscow are on the same timeline. They signed the same contract, by the way. And so
don't I wish?
I know, me too. I wish you did too.
I'd be on the IR already.
Yeah.
But
hey, it'd be worth it then, though. It doesn't matter.
Got those guarantees.
Overpay. Anyways, but he's flashed every practice.
Yeah.
There's been a time or two in the conditioning element. It's probably honestly because they want to play him a ton because he can play with Osai or Murphy or whoever you're thinking of. He can play with. By the way, before I forget, Chris Jenkins had a sack in team before we get to the second team. He had a sack and celebrated with Slate.
I was going to get there.
Oh, were you?
I had some plays for the defense.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to the rest of those coming up. But the
that was the biggest one.
The versatility was clearly a priority, and I think Shamar's going to play a ton. I think that's something that is for sure going to happen.
My ask for Shamar Stewart for the rest of training camp is, well, it's really for the coaching staff. Like, just let him go line up across from Orlando Brown a ton. Because what I've learned in the last couple of days is Shamar Stewart can beat the crap out of backup tackles in the NFL, at least with backup tackles on the Cincinnati Bengals. He can run around him. He can beat him inside. Shamar Stewart's athletic toolkit is enough to beat backup NFL tackles. Mm-hmm. So let him go run into or around or through whatever happens. Let him go figure it out against Amarius Mims, against Orlando Brown. That's where I'm at for him. I want to see him take that step and get more and more first-team reps. You're seeing him sprinkle in with ones in team drills, primarily still working with the twos, and fairly dominant against the twos. So that is exciting. That's an important first step for Shamar Stewart as the conditioning catches up, as he catches up on the playbook. But as this training camp and preseason goes on, let me see Shamar Stewart a little bit more with the ones. Like maybe it's after preseason game one. Maybe you need to get through that first. And then they're still practicing, right? We'll still have practice takeaways for you. They're not necessarily all open to the public, but James will still be here watching them. And we'll continue to see how Shamar is getting mixed in with each of these units.
You could fly in on your private jet with that Shamar deal. If that happened. Yeah. I'm just saying. You could –
what should have could.
You actually couldn't get a private jet. You could rent one, but you're not.
You could charter a flight with Shamar Stewart money, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you'd do that. But one, he's going to matter. Two, I agree with you on the first team stuff because I want him to matter week one. And so how does he matter week one? It's time to inch him along. And that might be it with the second team stuff. He did come in on a third down, key third down. And I was talking to a veteran, and they were like, wait till he gets a bag. He doesn't have a bag yet. Wait till he gets a bag. He was like, on third down, you could just put him over the opposing team's worst guard.
Yeah.
And watch him just – and that's really interesting.
Because he is lining up everywhere.
When's the last time the Bengals had that? Had a guy that you're like, all right, well, let's do that. Let's put him here, but he can also play end.
Not like that.
And be good against the run and is violent.
And you can see why they drafted him when you think about it that way.
No doubt.
Because if he puts it all together, then 280 pounds, you can put him anywhere. You can run around tackles, can run through guards. Sounds pretty good.
And he's working hard for those wondering. That's something that I think a lot of people are wondering with all the contract stuff. Shamar is working hard by all accounts. And in those accounts include veterans, coaches, obviously Al Golden, who we talked to today. But you mentioned it. You have other takeaways. I might have teased one of them, but that's a big one. So we'll break that down and discuss it coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And let's be honest here, it's really hard in this day and age to keep track of all your finances. Monarch puts it all together in one app, so you won't have to go here, there, everywhere to control and to keep track of your investments and your bank accounts and all of those things. Monarch Money is going to make life easy for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Well, James, let's cover some of those good defensive plays that we saw with the ones. And technically they got that stop. So to me, that's 4 down territory too. I was surprised the offense didn't stay on the field. Why not? They did later go for it on a 4th down that they completed. Jamar Chase on a quick hitter, just getting enough for the 1st down. Classic Joe to Jamar in the clutch. You've seen that from this team a ton. No reason to not see that in practice as well. Chris Jenkins sack, pretty impressive play. Okay. And this again goes into one of the themes schematically that we've seen from this Al Golden defense is a lot of twists, a lot of stunts, a lot of games from the defensive front. And this was a bad pass off between Orlando Brown and Dylan Fairchild on a twist where Chris Jenkins doesn't get effectively passed off. Orlando Brown doesn't pick him up well, or their levels aren't right, or Dylan Fairchild doesn't give him enough of a shove to help get Orlando Brown to pick up the twist. And Chris Jenkins then is able to split Fairchild and Brown. And Joe Burrow, trying to spin out of the pocket, ends up bumping in to Jenkins, who was right there for the sack. Interestingly, Dylan Fairchild manages to get a real nice hook clothesline on whoever else was coming off the stunt. I don't remember who the twist was with. Probably Osai. I think it was Osai now that I think of it. And Osai goes down. So nice finish there. Might have been called a hold, but puts Joseph Osai on the ground. But credit Chris Jenkins for big play there. Big celebration as well.
Yeah.
When this defense makes plays, there are celebrations to be had.
No doubt. And him and TJ Slayton, who celebrated, and it wasn't just those two, but the initial celebration was those two guys. And it's big. They need Chris Jenkins. They need Chris Jenkins or McKinley Jackson or one of these guys to develop, to be a factor. And obviously Chris Jenkins was drafted earlier. And I would just say profile-wise, where he went to school, his role at Michigan, his genes, all of those things. Like, for my money, it would be Chris Jenkins. So,
and where you're seeing them rep in, Chris has been clearly ahead of McKinley Jackson on the depth chart. Now, given no BJ Hill, so the rotations are a little bit weird, but it's been Chris Jenkins with the ones for the whole time I've been here.
Yep. And so they're going to need it. They're going to need him to step up and make plays like that. And that's what we really didn't see much last year is the pass rush element. That was the concern when he was drafted. And so if you can get some of that from Chris Jenkins, it's going to go a long way.
The defense did force a number of checkdowns. There were a couple of run stops in there, but Joe Burrow and this offense just too good on the money downs, had a number of 3rd down conversions, mentioned the 4th down conversion. They got into a 3rd and very long. Joe had a 12-plus yard scramble on a 3rd down play. They went for it on the 4th down. That was a play to Jamar Chase I mentioned on 4th down. Getting to the twos, a number of players were that well play on this team still in there when the twos are out on the field, right? Isaiah Williams, really impressive catch for a touchdown. Some really impressive Tahj Brooks runs, and this has been a theme, I think, since I've been here. I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from Tahj Brooks in the twos in the run game. We'll see how that translates in preseason games, but I think Tahj Brooks, very solid piece. Great addition in the 6th round to be an RB3 with some upside. We also saw Jermaine Burton with a number of plays with the twos, contested catch plays, a touchdown catch, and your guy 82.
Mitchell
Chef.
Tinsley.
Yeah, Mitch. Chef. Who's Chef?
Chef.
I don't even know. Sheffield I was thinking of.
Days bad, names bad. If you're new to the pod, days and names.
That's the first name I've messed up in
like a week.
At least 6 years.
Yeah, right. At least 6 years. Mitchell Tinsley has had a couple nice catches. Continues, I call him Marvin Jones Jr. But you noticed 82 a little bit.
He had multiple contested catches.
Yeah.
He was the most tackled player on Sunday. Shouldn't be tackling guys to the ground. He got tackled twice.
Did we talk about Isaiah Williams yet?
I mentioned the Isaiah Williams touchdown catch.
Yeah.
Really impressive. Plays through pass interference. DB clearly gets there early.
Shaka.
Right in the same spot. Oh, yeah. Not a DB.
Shaka Hayward is the linebacker.
Hayward.
Yeah.
Gets there a little bit early, chasing desperately. Same spot T catches his ball, right side of the end zone. But great catch.
Yep.
Great contested catch to hold on to it through significant and early contact for Isaiah Williams.
I showed him the play, and he was like, ooh, he was excited about that play. And he should be. I think put a lock on that thing. I think he's making this team. I really do. And obviously he's got to go out in preseason and show what he can do and make plays there. But from being claimed late in the season last year to now, comfortable in the offense, comfortable playing the slot, and could matter for this team in a bunch of different ways. I caught that pass from Browning. It was a Jake Browning throw, but has caught touchdowns from Burrow at this camp and is just really having a good camp.
The spectacular catch rating is Madden rating, right?
Yep.
For Isaiah Williams, based on what we've seen, would be quite high. I remember talking about this with Trent Taylor when he was with the team too, another smaller guy and the smaller frame. And I remember talking to a coach then talking about, he makes some of those look more spectacular than they need to because he's so small. And so they're a little bit harder for him than some other players. I don't necessarily think that's the case here with Isaiah Williams. Like the one today was above the rim. That's an above the rim play through a lot of contact. Really impressive play.
Yep, no doubt. And it's really nice. The back end of the receiver room complements and fits well together. And Charlie Jones made a catch or two today. Yeah. He made a catch over the middle for sure. Made one because he got tackled and brought to the ground.
Too many tackles out there.
Tackles. Jake tried to tackle me. It didn't work. But he did
not. He's making things up.
Oh, come on.
This guy.
Come on. I wouldn't do that.
I will be interested to see how the protection holds up in preseason game number 1. That's going to be something we're watching. I thought it was pretty good for Joe today. I think they had 4 drives with the ones. He had 1 scramble that was kind of a coverage scramble. He was sacked. The one time Chris Jenkins mentioned that play. Outside of that, pretty clean. There were, like I said, a few checkdowns in there. I don't recall any other quote unquote sacks where they're ruling them sacks. There were a couple with the second unit. Again, 97, Shamar Stewart flashing, a couple of run stops, big celebrations, had a sack, I think, as well. Earlier in my trip, James, I talked about when I watched Jalen Rivers, I was pretty pleased with the way he was holding up. Has not been holding up so great in the last couple of days against Shamar Stewart, against Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy having a much harder time with Amarius Mims, for example, than Jalen Rivers. So we'll keep an eye on Jalen Rivers, working at both tackle spots, still clearly ahead of Devin Cochran, I think, in that swing tackle battle, if you would call it that. But we'll see how that proceeds through the preseason. Need Jalen Rivers to come along a little bit because where we have concerns, and we're not going to rehash them today with the interior and the depth there, I think Lucas Patrick clearly looks better to me than Cody Ford through 2 practices. Again, we'll see when game situations come along. But similarly have that concern with tackle depth at this point as we have around the interior offensive line.
Yep, it is good to see Lucas Patrick out there at guard. It's his job to win. We'll see if it happens. Jalen Rivers, you really want him by the end of camp and after these preseason games. You feel good about him as that swing tackle. So we'll see if he can get there.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. Like I said, I'm flying home tomorrow. We'll have you covered if there's breaking news, but otherwise we'll have you covered after Tuesday's practice, and that'll be the next time you hear from us here. Thanks for listening, and until next time, Hooday. Have a good one. When you cough,